Do you ever feel like your data is just absolutely everywhere? Maybe spreadsheets that don't talk to each other, tools that can't really scale, and zero chance of building something real on top of it. But with real relational databases, you can build something that scales. From the tables, to the fields, to relationships, and integrations. In this example, I'm going to start collecting speakers for a potential event I've got in the future. This is a way for me to book in speakers and building on top of the Softr platform. If you do like the idea of Softr, at the end of this video, you can check out the link in the description. You can try 1 month free of Softr Professional. Today's video is kindly sponsored by Softr. Let's dive in. So I've got an event coming up and I want to be able to start collecting the speaker details before I start going out to marketing. So I'm going to go ahead and create a database from scratch. Now inside of Softr, you can either start that from scratch or you can use and upload a CSV to help get you going. You can also pull in from a data source like Airtable and many more. Now, when you get started with this, you really want to make sure structure is important. You want to be able to capture what is really relevant. So in this case, I'm thinking about all of the fields I want to collect. For example, even with this one, the file, I want to be able to bring in their headshots without having to ask them on email, as well as adding requirements for later. Now, I'll explain how we're going to connect all these up later on, but I just want to be really happy to be able to set up and go from there when I'm creating things like the apps and forms later. So next part of this is I'm happy with the database. I'm going to go ahead and build an app for this. Now obviously you can build an app for pretty much anything, but in this case I want somewhere where the attendees can start managing all of their experience for this particular event. So when I go ahead, I'm going to start with a template. I'm going to search for event. And I'm going to go ahead, instead of starting to build the site straight away, I'm going to go to the speakers area and I'm going to go ahead and delete all of these confirmed speakers, because in this case, I don't want that to appear just yet. I'm in the phase of collecting the right people to speak, not getting all of the speaker details, but I can connect all that up later. So this site will have things like user roles, speaker directory, attendee lists, and everything I need to run this event. However, the thing that I need right now is a form. I need to go ahead and build a form out that I can send directly to people, but also I can embed in the website to automatically capture those speakers that are coming in. So the form is really easy to build, and you can also add in theming and settings and how your form interacts with external apps as well to save you even more time. But because I'm in the stage of getting things ready, I want to be able to connect the right things together. Now, obviously, I said that the event's not out yet. I want to be able to get the site into a shaped format where it's ready in a way that I can share it with people and give an idea for how long this event is going to take. So in this case, I'm going to go and use something called a vibe coding block. Now, of course, we know that there are dynamic blocks and static blocks within the site. They can help us build out the site with relevant stuff that's already pre-made. But in this case, Softr doesn't have, for example, native support for a countdown timer for the next event. So I'm just going to ask the vibe coding tool to do it, and it's going to go ahead and build something for me. So as you can see, that's been built and that's been created. So perfect. Now that I've got that working, I can see that my home page is great. And in the meantime, I'm also going to test the form to see whether it's working. And as you can see, all the details have come in, which means I can get going from there. Now you're probably wondering at this point, okay, now I've got a site that attendees can start signing up to. What does that mean for things like authentication, users, user groups, and stuff like that? Well, basically, you can manage pretty much everything based on the different experiences people have. You can set up 3 roles in this, like attendee, organizer, and speaker, so that everyone has a different experience, all based around permissions and access, data restrictions, user groups, whatever they may be. You can manage that inside the users area, inside of the app panel. This is really helpful because what you want is you want a different experience for each customer, and you want this working like an app that you don't need development time on. Next up, you can actually create workflows. Now, workflows are going to be a great way to save you time. In this case, I'm going to create a workflow for every time a speaker signs up to the database. It's going to send them an email saying, thank you very much. We've considered your request and we'll be back in touch. This is a really just great touch point to make sure that person knows that has been submitted correctly. Now you can create a workflow for anything. Here's one. For example, I'm going to create one that has an event date that 24 hours before it sends a reminder to all the attendees based on that information. So that's incredibly helpful for everyone who set things up. So I'm going to show you a few ways that you can use AI. So I've got a few speakers through already. Things are starting to roll even on day 1 and 2, which is great news. I'm going to go ahead and use the Ask AI feature, which appears in your sidebar. And this is really great because you can talk to your data naturally. For example, you could say, which category has the most sessions, or show me all the workshops in March. Or you could say something like draft an email to follow up. In this case, I'm going to ask whether there's anyone from the speaker rundown who would be good speaking about YouTube AI. And in this case, it's recommended somebody, which is perfect. Now, this isn't the only AI. There's some database AI agents which can help remove busy work automatically. So in this case, I'm going to build an agent inside of the field type, which is going to categorize each of the items for me. So in this case, I've set it up so auto assigns a category generated based on the speaker's information they've inputted inside of the bio area. Now, this is great because I can start saving a bit of time on which track I think each person should go on. So to wrap things up, I want to talk a little bit about who Softr is probably best suited for. Softr is going to be really good for small to medium-sized businesses who have databases, workflows, and want to be able to build something internally. It also works really well for any team that needs customization. It also works very well with agencies and consultants. So thank you very much for stopping by in today's video. If you liked it, share your thoughts below, give it a like, and do subscribe to this channel. We'll be back with another video about Softr very soon, so we'll see you there. Cheerio for now.